6:30, and we will open the meeting as we usually must, reading the preamble concerning that this is a remote meeting. So Dan, go ahead with that, please.
Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 bill extending several COVID-era policies and programs by allowing virtual meetings to continue from March 31st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025, this meeting of the Norton Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at the end of this agenda. Members of the public attending this public hearing / meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by raising their hand virtually or pressing *9 if participating by phone. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Norton Cable website, www.nortonmediacenter.org, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you, Dan. Our director, John Thomas, is not able to attend tonight, but we have our assistant, Megan Harrup, involved with the meeting. Members of the commission participating are myself, Julian Kadish, Chair, Lisa Carosa, Vice Chair, Dan Pearson. You are not the treasurer, you are the which? The quartermaster?
The clerk, I guess.
The clerk, that's it. And Joe Carvalho, Mark Fernandez, and Tom Levest. I think Paxton Hawshall is not able to attend tonight either. So we have a fairly short agenda tonight. We have no new public hearings. The only continued public hearing is file number 250-1052, Wading River Estates. That was a request for an amendment of its order of conditions concerning a reduction in the footprint of the development plan. And as I recall, the only items had to do with discussions back and forth with the applicant and the peer review concerning stormwater design. And as I understand it, that has been negotiated and resolved. So do we have a representative who just wants to review that briefly?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Brian Dunn, I'm the principal of the firm, MBL Land Development and Permitting. For the record, our office is at 5 Bristol Drive in Southeastern Massachusetts. And I'm here on behalf of the owner and applicant, Scott and Joan Stormo. And as you just previously stated, Mr. Chairman, yes, we did have a peer review by Pat Brennan, who went through our stormwater and site plans, had a few comments, very minor in nature. We've addressed those comments. And then while we were doing that information and making those changes as requested by Mr. Brennan, we also met with the planning board once, and they had some minor requests of changes to the parking. So we added some visitor parking spaces near the end of the cul-de-sac and right before the cul-de-sac, so that there would be some additional parking if visitors had come to the site during special occasions. So we've done that. We've updated our drainage design associated with that. We've got a clean bill of health from the peer review consultant. And we're here asking you to close the public hearing and issue an amendment to the order of conditions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. So do we have any questions before we consider, well, we'll talk about closing, but any questions from members of the commission about this project? And for that matter, any questions from members of the audience? If none, the only hesitation about closing is it is exactly 21 days from now till our next meeting. And there is concern that there may not be enough time to get the orders of conditions in your hands in that window. So what we would request is that you agree to a continuation until August 12th. It really won't change anything with regard to procedure. We will just close on that day, having reviewed the order of conditions, which will be available to us at that time. So
Okay.
that is,
I think we're okay with that, Mr. Chairman. I think that we might need to send you an email waiving that 21 days and allow you to issue on the 12th. I think that we need to do that per the Wetland Protection Act. So I'll send an email to John.
Not if we continue the hearing. So if we continue it, we don't need to take that.
You're correct. Absolutely. So
Okay.
we're just continuing it to August 12th, and you're going to issue on August 12th?
yeah, there's no barrier to us having reviewed, and then we'll vote on it, and then it will be issued the next day. That's the wrinkle, is that just the reality of getting the office stuff processed would require 22 days instead of 21. That's why
Understood. I don't have a problem with that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. So if there are no questions or comments from anyone in the meeting, we can entertain a motion to to continue this hearing for file number 250-52 until August 12th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, that was a millisecond one. I think Lisa obviously made the motion, and Dan, did you get that second?
I don't know. Sure.
I think it was either
I
Dan
did
or
say it.
Mr. Cavallo.
Okay, well, we'll go with Dan. So roll call vote, starting with Joe and Tama.
Aye.
Well, I think we saw an aye coming from you, Tama. You're on mute at the moment, but that's all right. And Dan and Mark.
Aye.
Aye.
And Lisa?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye.
Okay.
So the motion carries. So I don't think you really have to be involved, Brian, on the 12th. This is just a procedural issue.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And also, just wanted to personally apologize for not being on the last meeting. I was on vacation with my family, and I had come back that day and had forgotten that we had to get on a call. So my apologies to this commission, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I think we survived, and
Okay.
you're allowed to take vacations.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your involvement and your time and effort on this amendment to the order of conditions. Thank you again.
Very good.
Have a great night, everybody.
You bet. So we're now up to a request for certificates of compliance. This one concerns file number 250-477, 6 Taylor Court. This actually was a house that was built in 2001. And I'm not certain what triggered the need to get the COC, but it's my understanding that there's another project that requires an application, and this needs to be closed out, and it's noted that all of the work on the original order of conditions is complete. So I think we can consider a motion to issue a complete COC for file number 250-477.
I'll make a motion to issue a full certificate of compliance.
Second.
I tell you, your timing for the second, I couldn't tell. Was it? We'll give it to Mark this time. So, motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Lisa and Joe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we got 2 ayes, and Tama and Dan.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. Motion carries. The certificate of compliance is approved. Next up, we have orders of conditions for 61 Oak Street, file number 250-1159, and that had to do with a installation of a detached garage and some unpermitted work, which I think is probably wrapped up in the order, but 61 Oak Street. So nothing stood out to me. We have the findings that relate specifically to the project, and our standard special conditions. Any questions or comment about this set of orders of conditions?
Nope, looks straightforward to me, so I will make a motion to accept the draft order of conditions for file 250-1159 as written.
Motion by Lisa, and I think that was a second by Joe. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so Lisa and Joe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Tama and Dan.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so the motion carries. We've accepted the draft of the order of conditions that was submitted for 61 Oak Street, file number 250-1159. Next up on our agenda is set of conditions for file number 250-1158 concerning 129 King Philip Road. And again, findings are straightforward. Special conditions, which are standard conditions, are unremarkable. Any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions for file 250-1158 as written.
Second.
A motion by Lisa, seconded by Tama. Joe and Lisa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Tama and Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. We have draft minutes. I found nothing concerning or remarkable. Anybody have any comments about the draft minutes of Monday, July 8th?
I just have a minor one. Unfortunately, I don't have the minutes right in front of me, but it's with DET 1140. Towards the end of the blue notes on it, it says something about the area being 15 feet away. And I don't know, we might just say something like well, if you think this is right, the delineation or something like that.
Well, I can read that. It says, it looks like it's the last line. Fernandez asked some questions about the limit of work and the sediment controls. Holmes clarifies that the limit of work goes within 15 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland due to the previously existing. I think it means paved. I think the word paved should probably be in there, as in paved area, and the controls are similarly placed because of the previously existing paved
Where
area.
is this?
It's the last line. It's labeled. It's the top of page 2, but I don't know if that's going to be accurate coming out of Google Drive. But it concerns 92 East Main Street, determination 1140, and it's the description of the discussion for that, and it's the last line where I think the word paved. Either paved
Previously
or-
existing paved area.
Yeah, because there was some pavement there, and I don't know, do we have? Yeah, I mean, it was disturbed, either paved or disturbed, I think it was pavement in the back.
He was describing that they were placing them along the edge of the paved area, so I think paved is fine.
Thank you.
All right, so any other comments or questions? If not, we can consider a motion to accept the draft as corrected.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dan, seconded by Joe. Lisa and Joe, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Aye.
And Tama and Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so we have 5 ayes and 1 abstention. Our next items, I don't know if we can really, Megan, is there anything to comment when it comes to conservation office updates?
Just that John Thomas will be on vacation the first week of August. And then I'll be on vacation the third week of August. So, I don't think he'll be missing any meetings in August, but I will be missing one. And
I'll take
then,
notes.
oh, thank you, Dan.
I will also be missing the second meeting in August, but so I don't know if Lisa, your schedule is going to make it possible for you to jump into that meeting or not.
Yeah, that's the 12th. Is that the 12th?
No, it would be the
26th.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep, I can do that one.
And then
That's about it for office updates.
okay, and then next is enforcement order 92 East Main Street. I don't know, do we have somebody who wants to talk about that to us?
I'll be talking about that. My name is Joe O'Brien from Capital Engineering
Okay.
Services, and we're representing Need Realty LLC.
Now, as I understand it, this will be a formal notice of intent filing. Is that correct?
We believe it's being done on an enforcement order.
Okay. Well, we'll have to.
If we,
Well, I don't know. Lisa, maybe you can comment. Usually, it's okay. There's the enforcement order is a notice of a problem, and then usually the correction, unless it's something minor, the correction is file a notice so that a more precise explanation of exactly what's going to be done, and then the restoration. But you can work that out with John.
we have filed the restoration plan that Mr. Thomas had agreed upon.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
it's set in front of you.
Yeah, you want the restoration plan first, Julian, and you can always follow it up with a notice of intent, like de facto after the fact. And the important thing I think about this is timing wise, if it's a restoration plan, we want to get it approved and we want to get them started in the fall. And then the notice can follow after that. So I don't know what the violation was. Could you go over that?
Well, actually, that question, do you have a plan you can share? And Megan, I don't know if you can.
I don't know how many of you have this plan that was given by Mr. Thomas. We submitted this.
Well.
Yep, so I can share the plan, not a problem. Hold on one moment.
Thank you
Oh,
very much.
okay, that's excellent.
Okay. Yeah, I think, is this the first time we're seeing this or was it presented in August?
It is
I
kind
mean,
of the first
last meeting.
time we're seeing this
Okay.
specific.
Okay.
The violation was notified back in the previous meeting, and we said we responded with a restoration plan, which was approved by Mr. Thomas, and now we're putting it in front of you to take a look at it as well. So if I can go real quickly, there's an area that was enhanced with some millings for parking, and it was restored from old millings, but over the years, the old millings kind of got eroded and some plants came in there, and it got a little more organic, we'll call it. So what we're going to do is we're going to restore this area back to where it was in 2023, and we're going to remove the millings in the pink area, pull them back, and then we're going to restore those with a top dressing of loam and seed. And prior to doing any of that work, we're going to put a straw bale berm around the entire area.
Can you tell us where this is? Is this a business? Is this,
I'm sorry, Mr. Rose, I did not hear you.
oh, where are we here? Where is this?
Yeah, let me just fill in. This is
Okay.
the area behind what used to be the Midway Garage.
Okay,
Um,
okay, yep.
Yeah, and I think the paved area, which you can see the two buildings, and then it goes up to a solid line, which is the paved area. That I think was previously permitted, but you can see the two dotted lines, which I believe are the inner and outer riparian zones, where a lot of the work was done inadvertently, not realizing that it was a rather sensitive zone for riverfront.
Yes, the buildings had been there before, they had degraded, rutted out, collapsed, and so nature took over and started growing in those areas. So the millings were restored, and that was brought to our attention of the work. And as we're here today, we're willing to pull that back and restore it back where it was in 2023.
So I assume there's a planting plan that goes with this?
We're gonna loam and seed it. And
What was there so in 2023, it was loamed and seeded, it wasn't vegetated?
No,
with-
it was even worse than that. We're gonna make it better than it was.
Okay, so there were no
pretty much-
trees or
No.
herbaceous layer? Okay,
No, ma'am.
okay.
So historically, this was used for parking equipment that was being repaired at the Midway Garage. Is that your understanding?
Not necessarily repaired, but there was vehicles parked all throughout the back and continue to be so. But they're not being repaired out there. There's a proper repair area up front in the buildings.
Oh, no, I understand, but it previously was a garage that had an active.
It's still a garage, yes.
But
Excess vehicles.
these vehicles are new. Is that correct? I thought they're.
The business has changed to provide more bus transportation vehicles. So these are bigger vehicles. They're coming through, being rehabbed, or just being turned over and sold.
Okay.
So has John asked for any type of barrier to be put back there?
There's no barrier. There's just
Right.
going to be the siltation barrier when we do the work. The
Right.
use of the area will not change. It's just the surface wall.
Right. I'm looking for something maybe longer term to show whatever tenant ends up there or owner that that's basically a no disturb zone. It's not just lawn that they can, are they going to mow it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I personally think we need some type of barrier out there to, mark
We
off.
are gonna move vehicles across that barrier, so anything that might restrict the movement might not work.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to make the distinction. During construction, obviously, you're going to be in there. I'm talking about post restoration.
As well as I am.
So you're gonna have vehicles back there,
Of course, they've always been there.
but you're gonna put loom, you're gonna loam and seed it and have vehicles on them? I'm really confused right now.
Well, don't be confused. It was always used for parking. It was always used for vehicles. Nature came over and brought in some grass and some of the weedy areas grew in. And so when they restored it to the old millings, that was called the violation. So we're gonna remove those new millings.
But you're gonna have vehicles now traversing the lawn, is that right?
As they always have, correct?
Well, I'm not talking about what they always have. We need to make this better. So if you're gonna be
We'll make the
having,
ground better, but we're gonna keep the use the same.
okay. We need to take a deep breath, sir.
Sure.
So one thing is, if you're gonna now use that, we need to talk about stormwater management. We need to talk about potential wetting and erosion from the occupation of that lawn for vehicles traversing that. So I don't think that should just be restored to lawn and then you drive vehicles over it. That's not a normal wearing course for vehicles, regardless of what it was. This is what you want to do right now. So to me, a lawn is not really an acceptable base to have vehicles driving over. What's to prevent erosion? What's going to handle
Once the
stormwater?
grass takes, then that area will avoid erosion.
No, I'm sorry, but that's not going to cut it. So I think we're going to have to talk to John Thomas about this because I don't think this is a long-term solution. I thought this was going to be vegetated and you were going to walk away and it was not going to be disturbed. I don't think this is the appropriate ground cover for vehicle traffic and use. So,
Well, again, the future use of the property will be as it was before. So if there's another restoration plan or another way to go we'll do that as well.
right, but do you see where I'm going? It's really
I
not
do.
appropriate. Yeah, it's not appropriate.
I'll let you know that prior to this, if you walked out there, you would see the sand and gravel, you would see the weeds, and you'd say, there's nothing going to grow here, there's nothing going to grow here but weeds. We're doing this in response to the request from the Conservation Commission to bring in some soil that might have been degraded.
Right, and that's it. So if you stopped right there, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But now you're telling me you're going to have vehicles parked and running over that lawn, which makes zero sense. So, just saying. I think we need to,
I absolutely see your point, and I agree wholeheartedly.
okay. So I think we need to talk to John about what we're trying to achieve here. Julian?
Well, I mean, I don't, I'm presuming this business location and this activity predates the Wetland Protection Act. That's the only thing that's going through.
But they're coming
Absolutely
to
not.
us now. But they're coming to us now. This is a new owner, and this is a use that we haven't never approved.
Well, but I mean, I don't know the rules with regard to whether or not you can ask a business to stop using an area that had been used for that activity since before the Wetland Protection Act was in
Okay,
force.
okay, I agree with you. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna ask them to put up some pavement, some stormwater management. We need to put something down. You can't just
So
have them driving over the lawn.
Well, that's the question is they had attempted to restore a working surface, but the materials that they chose were perhaps a poor choice. I mean, if it had been clean, cobblestone type gravel that would not emit hydrocarbons slowly into the riverfront area, that might have been a better choice. And I think we're going to need input from John first about the administrative limits of what we can request, and second, finding a choice which might be better for the use that will continue without the pollution concerns particularly the inner riparian zone. Although the whole area is in both zones.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we have to discuss is I don't think we're going to be able to say, well, you can't do that activity in there, but we can come up with something that is less challenging to the riverfront. And we're not going to be definitive here tonight. We're going to, this is the introduction of the problem. And so I think we can be certain we need to continue this discussion.
Okay.
And I know John will be back at our next meeting, and Megan, you will certainly go over the details of this discussion with him, I assume.
Yes, I will.
And then we can get back up to speed as to the proposed best path. But I think we have to accept that this activity is going to continue, but macadam millings is not an ideal material to put in there. And I think Lisa's point is well taken, that loam and seed is not necessarily the best choice either.
Yeah, macadam was what was there before. They're putting back what was there before. We'd love to find a substitute in between that works for both of us.
Well, but certainly clean, coarse. Well, I don't know. It wouldn't necessarily be coarse, but it wouldn't necessarily be pea stone. But something a little bigger than pea stone might be a less polluting yet more durable material. But I think we have to get John's input as to, he's got the overview of the historical component of this issue.
Yep. And I'd also just be curious to see what type of equipment, or is it the buses that are going to be restored? Like what's going to be stored back there, or what type of vehicles are going to use it? And that to me is going to tell me what type of material we put down. So
yeah, I think
about.
Buses may not be the correct term. It may be more like vans.
Okay.
All right. So, any further questions? And so, this is, I think what we should do is have you be back in touch with the office when John is available, and then they can potentially put it on the agenda for either next meeting or the meeting after, with regard to talking about more specifics.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds great. Thank you again.
All right. So I don't know if we need a formal motion but I think it's pretty clear John needs to be involved, and it'll get put back on the agenda when there's more discussion and perhaps a vote for a decision.
We're in agreement to that. Thank you.
All right. Any further comments? If not, I think we can consider that one all set.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is, it's just informational. There was an item at 258 Main Street. Megan, I don't know if we can bring up a plan, or I don't know. It's not going to. It has to do with a facility that is being used
Yeah,
As
hold on
a-
1 second.
Okay. And there was a new request, I believe, that triggered a review of the activity of that site, which again showed some historical changes from aerial photos. And its activity, yeah, here we go. So this is adjacent is the Mulberry Brook.
Yeah, Mulberry Meadowbrook is right here.
Going into Lake Winnicott. So this is Plain Street, where it just goes near Lake Winnicott, and the Mulberry Brook passes down through adjacent this property. And highlighted on this map is activity within within the buffer zone, and then we have, I'm assuming the blue dots is the inner riparian zone, let's see. No, yes, that's the outer riparian zone labeled there. That's the 200 foot from Mulberry Brook. So there's a little bit of an activity in the outer riparian zone, and then there's some activity in the it looks like the outer portion of the buffer, the outer 50 feet. So I think none of this apparently is documented under a prior order. So I think at the very least, this may require some kind of retroactive filing because now the homeowner has open activity in the buffer zone that will be a potential problem in the future. So I think some procedure to review the activity and resolve the paperwork so that there's no problem in the future with regard to sale of the property, et cetera. But I think John needs to weigh in as to exactly what issues need to be resolved. So again, I don't think we can really act on it. We just, this is more informational as to what has to be. Any questions? I can't necessarily answer to them.
The other thing is that he hasn't been out on the site. These are just the aerial views. It started because the homeowner wanted an addition placed here, and so building had to have conservation sign off, and he took a look and he saw that a lot of work was done without permitting, and he kind of guesstimated based on aerial views. However, he hasn't been able to go out on site and verify any of the wetlands, and based on the plans provided, they didn't really show wetlands or at least depict accurately what was on site. So that is kind of what made him look at the aerial views and make this rendition of a plan.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like the activity would have been not allowed. I mean, it's not, right adjacent or in the wetland. So it just, I mean, from my perspective, it just needs to be trued up with a filing, a retroactive filing, so that the paperwork's in order. I mean, would you agree that there's activity there in the buffer, but it's probably activity that we probably would have approved?
Yes, and I just, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I spoke to the engineer today because he dropped off plans, and he said that he hadn't been able to work on additional plans for the violation, but that he was looking at updating them.
So the important thing to just always keep in mind with riverfront is it's like the meter's ticking, right? So you're only allowed up to 10% of the riverfront area, a disturbance to 10% of the riverfront area on the project site. So that's what we just want to be mindful of in like the findings, or just to make sure they're not going over that 10% threshold. That's what's important for Riverfront. So, anyway.
All right, so this is something that's obviously gonna have to come before us in detail.
So it sounds like they're on their way, Megan, with an engineer. They're probably going to have the wetlands flagged and give us a plan.
That's the hope, but I haven't heard, specifically besides what the engineer said, I haven't heard from the applicant themselves.
Okay. Okay.
All right, that's kind of the end of our agenda.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Sounds like,
I'll take it.
let's see, we're 41 minutes into it. Not too bad. All right. So I'll be away for a little while, but I will be at the next meeting.
All right. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good
See you
night.
next time.
Yeah, bye.
Right.
Bye.